What is going on, people? This is the Cornerstone Podcast. Subscribe, like, comment, and share the content. Follow us on YouTube, Stitcher, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and iTunes. Man, one of my favorite repeat guests is back on the show. How you doing, Mr. Bullhead?
Hey, yo, what am?
A nice warm welcome, huh? Now, what prompted this video is that you want to talk about learned behaviors. Now, you want to get into learned behaviors in regards to a psychological or a hereditary standpoint.
Well, you know, when you really look at it, it doesn't. They kind of are one and the same. You know,
Now, why do you think it's very important? Just start off from there. Like, why is it important for you to kind of like highlight this part about learned behaviors, especially when it comes to kids growing up in the right environments?
Right. So children. They a lot of times they do what they see, and if you don't have the right people showing you what you need to be doing, you tend to get those learned behaviors, which a lot of times you don't think that you're doing something wrong because that's the way that you were brought up, but it hurts other people, and a lot of times you can do it without even knowing it.
They have a theory for that, though.
What's that?
It's called differential association theory. What if it's negative deviant behavior or positive behavior? It's pretty much saying that behavior is learned through influence or proximity. So it was a theory developed by Edwin Sutherland back in like the 1940s. Because I learned this in my criminal justice classes when almost 20 years ago when I was in college. So
okay,
I just have to remember, as far as learning something about that in college, about how crime or deviant behavior is for the most part learned, and it's from your closest people that you've been around as far as your upbringing. So yeah, that's what that comes from. Yeah, differential association theory.
Right. Well, growing up, when you grow up in impoverished neighborhoods where a lot of children don't have a lot of supervision, because I mean, me and my brothers, when we were growing up, we were not supervised that well. We did a lot of things that other children these days would never have done at our age. So some of our learned behaviors, stem from that. But but a positive one was uh, watching my father, work hard and emulating him as far as like he never let us lay around the house. We had to get our butt up, early, and we had to be doing something. We weren't allowed to be, lazy or don't take care of things. But we knew a lot of other kids in the neighborhood, their parents weren't that strict on them.
Yeah, that reminds me of Boys in the Hood. Remember when Trey Styles, he ended up moving with his dad, and his dad was very strict and stern with him. And his friends, they didn't have a daddy in the household, so they were kind of like doing all types of like illegal activity or gang banging. I mean, the only one that almost made it out of the hood was Morris Chestnut's character and Ricky, but unfortunately, he got killed towards the end of the movie. But everybody else, as far as from Doughboy and the rest of the friends, they were pretty much just going to be like the neighborhood thugs.
Right.
So we kind of saw from an early age, as far as, if you got a daddy in the household, more than likely you're going to have that discipline. You're going to have that. You're going to have that work ethic, because remember when Lawrence Fishburne's character made Trey rake the leaves. He was raking leaves for like hours and hours. And that was like his first day of being with his dad. So
Hey, you know what? I raked a lot of leaves in I raked a lot of leaves in front of my father's house for years and cut that grass, and you know that was my chore. Is I cut the grass.
Yeah.
But that's also a learned behavior, you know. So even though I got in some minor trouble when I was younger, I was always trying to find a job, and I was always working, always. You
Now,
know,
would you say that your dad, in the way he was raising y'all, did this influence outweigh the peer pressures y'all had in the neighborhood? Because your dad, he comes from a Muslim background, so they are very conservative and strict.
yeah,
And
but that's not his full background. I mean, he went to the same high school I went to, and before he was a Muslim, you know, he knew the streets. Yeah, but I do know my father, and he avoided conflicts.
mm-hmm.
And once again, that's learned behavior. I have always learned how to avoid conflicts. So there were certain things that I would watch my father do when he talked to people, because I mean my father's very direct, so you understand exactly what he's saying. But at first he's nice until he has to be a little bit more stern.
Mm-hmm.
And I learned that from him, and I'm like that as well. But you're always supposed to be nice until it's no longer time to be nice, and that's a learned behavior.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, my mother and my father taught me that.
Yeah.
But um, you know, you, the subject is so vast now, because I mean we have people now that are just going out and just they don't even care if they kill people anymore. Like, you know, I just heard something. I heard the head of the ATF. He just said that for the first time since the end of Prohibition, they've had more people killed with automatic weapons than any other time period in our country. Back then it was the Tommy gun. Now it's the AR-15. So more people have been killed with AR-15s now than before Prohibition.
So,
During the Tommy gun period.
so are they switching the AR-15s into automatic weapons now? Because I know that you could do that with certain pistols, because they're doing that, of course, illegally. But I mean, I haven't really seen much of like the criminals or thugs, or whatever, turning AR-15s into automatic weapons, flat out. So I haven't
Okay,
seen it in the
well,
news.
you know, after being stationed with Navy SEALs, they tell you that your automatic weapon is
Mm-hmm.
it's your finger.
Yeah, but
Until look,
yeah.
I'm trying to explain this in a way that people can understand. Just because you pull the trigger and you got a 3-round burst, unless you have trained to do that on a daily basis for years, those second shots don't mean nothing. The first one goes off, and the other two, depending on how you move, how you flinch, how you breathing, all those different things, doesn't matter. But if you got a weapon where you can continue to fire it with your finger is your automatic. Until you stop shooting, you can continue to shoot that weapon until you have to either reload it or until you can no longer shoot it, which means you're either dead or injured.
I see what you're saying, as far as saying yes, if as long as you keep on repeatedly pulling the trigger, in a way, it's more of an automatic weapon. But as far
Right.
as far as the ATF coming out with more people being killed by automatic weapons, I mean, my whole thing is, are they turning these weapons into automatic, or are they just implying how criminals are just doing rapid fires with their fingers? So
No. Okay, so as a matter of fact, they just had they just had it on the news the other day about these major cities, New York, where they're going and they're actually using computer technology to make parts and order them to replace parts or recalibrate a weapon. And they were showing like a
3D printer.
Exactly. So yes, I mean they're using them. Matter of fact, there was just a shooting within the last 7 days. And hell, I think they were shooting at some cops. I don't think they killed the cops, but they shot at some cops. And I mean, like basically, man, like I said, learn behavior. Now we're going back to 100 years ago.
Yeah, but that wasn't black people 100 years ago doing these mass killings. I mean, it was more of like the mob.
Look, I didn't say anything about any color of people. I'm just saying that, look.
When I want to talk about these issues, I mean, I know black people, so obviously I'm a black man, so I kind of want to, for me, I just, if I'm going to make an off the cuff comment, it's going to be geared towards my perceptions of the black community. So just to kind of throw that
Okay.
out.
Well, you have many men of color. They got AR-15s now. They got the gun clubs.
Yeah, by law-abiding citizens, as far as the gun clubs.
Right.
Okay.
But at the same time, you got these guys on the street, and to be perfectly honest with you, I don't think, what are they doing on the street these days? I mean,
you know what, man? I mean, I hardly go into the city, but the few occasions which I do go into the city, it's just a live action broken windows theory where when you go across these ghettos around the country, you see like abandoned houses, you see unmanicured grass, you see cars that's got broken windshields or regular windows with that's like broken as well, and you got shoes that's kind of tangled in power lines. I mean, it just a live action broken windows theory.
okay, so and I'm glad you said that, because 100 years ago, in that same neighborhood, it was occupied by Polish people, Italian people. It wasn't too many black people then. I mean, they had a couple neighborhoods too, but you still had some of the same problems that you have now, and that kind of supports what I'm talking about as far as learned behaviors. Like, have you seen all the Karens that are just popping up out of nowhere? And now they're becoming violent.
I think we always had Karens, but we just have a smartphone.
Well, we did, but I'm just saying. Say again.
I'm just saying we always had Karens, but we got the ability to record them as they're doing, Karen things.
Well, I've seen Karens my whole life. I never seen too many of them that were physically violent, but a lot of them were tall. Well, yeah, that ain't necessarily true. But they learned it from somewhere. Like someone had to teach them to be like that. It is really appalling to me that in this day and age that you still have people who hate other people just because of the color of their skin. That learned behavior.
Yeah. So would you say that today in 2022 versus 1922, do you think racial relations has improved, stayed stagnant, or gotten worse?
If I was to look at everything,
Mm-hmm.
we're talking the 40 acres and a mule that our ancestors never got and still haven't gotten. If
Mm-hmm.
you look at the Ahmaud Arbery case and all the other cases that have been going around this country, I mean, you have people in this country that think they're still better than others. And there's so many groups, it's ridiculous. I mean, and now they're all just fighting each other, thinking they're all better. None of them are better than each other. This is all learned behavior and it's lies. You know, you have people who prey on other people because of their race, because of their color, the color of skin, the way they talk, the way they think. Like, this ain't even America no more. Well, but then it is.
I mean,
This is
people.
learned behavior. Look. A matter of fact, I am ashamed about the new quarter that they have with Maya Angelou on it.
Why?
Because everybody was boasting about how they made this quarter with her on it. She's on the back of it. She's the tail. When you flip the coin, she's the tail. She's not the head. You still got George Washington on the front of that coin in 2022. But they call it the Maya Angelou coin. And they're selling it on eBay. You know what? Let me look it up. So I'm not.
I mean,
But it's like, matter of fact, no, here's eBay right here. Hold on 1 second. Let me look at it. They're selling that 25-cent piece coin for.
I might have an unpopular opinion about this, but I don't think Maya Angelou should have been on the quarter in the first place.
That's my whole point.
Yeah.
They're using her as a token. That's my whole point. Thank you for saying that.
Yeah. Okay.
That's my entire point. It's another thing to make people think that there's really been some change.
What happened with Harriet Tubman being on a 20?
Right. A matter of fact, right after Biden got elected, Biden and the vice president, I posted that on one of my things. I said, all right, because Trump is the one that actually blocked that. He's the one that told the Treasury, no, don't print it.
Mm-hmm.
So they didn't print it either, even though they're the ones that actually are the ones that try to change it. And then they didn't change it.
I mean,
Learn behavior.
my thing is when it comes to currency, like I thought in order to be on currency, you have to be a former president. I know that Ben Franklin was the exception, but every other currency has been a former president. So my whole thing is, why are they putting two black women, one on a $20 bill and the other on a quarter? Like, to me, I don't think that they, as much as they did great things in their lives, but to me, I don't think that kind of bought them some type of currency to even be put on the money. So, but that's just my opinion. I'm
I
sure I may
mean,
get
I
some flack
mean,
over it.
I'm saying, look, you are an American. You was born in this country, and you have rights. And if that's the way you feel about it, no one has the right to say that you did something wrong by speaking on how you speak, as long as you ain't trying to hurt nobody.
Yeah, yeah. I
You
mean,
know?
but still, you got the like the woke mob who would will try to, cancel you over anything that they disagree about. So,
Well, and that's learned behavior now too.
oh
You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
you got all these
Zero,
people,
ground
right?
zero for that is on a college campus. As far
Well,
as, far as
it's always been on the college campus.
well, today is literally magnified. I mean, they won't even like allow opposite opinions. Speakers like Steven Crowder, Ben Shapiro, Jordan Peterson to speak on their campuses because they feel triggered. They want to go into safe spaces and they just so
Nah,
they just so offended. So
and that's called censorship, which
right.
is un-American. And the same thing. You know what? This is a cat and mouse game, and it's learned behavior. Before white women, let's not just say women, before white women were allowed to go to colleges, they said, "Oh no, we want to go to college." And what happened? The men censored them. No, shut up. No, you can't go to college. And then eventually, some of the influential white women were able to convince their husbands, well, look, let's at least start at college so they can go to finishing school. And then they learn how to cook and how to set a table and all that stuff. But that was the okie doke. So once you start your own college, now you can do your own things. And there's nothing wrong with that. But it was a ploy for some women to get rights that they wanted, just like people now. But right now they're doing it dirty. They're canceling people. Like,
Yeah,
come on now. This is learned behavior. This cancel culture. All these young people that are trying to, jump on these bandwagons and thinking they're better than other people, you're all gonna lose. You aren't better than anybody else. You're just following some stupid people who are going to lead you down to a road which is going to lead to disaster for you. They always tell people to stay on the straight path. Yes, you should. I can tell you as a man that I went on a whole lot of on a whole lot of trails and paths I shouldn't have went on, and it's damn brutal. But some of it I learned from some of that things I did was from learned behavior.
oh,
But
let
yeah,
me
I mean, oof. I mean, some of the things that you hear now that are going on in the world and going on in this country right now. I mean, you just got people just walking up to people because of an opinion, a verbal opinion, and shooting someone dead. And then, I this message is for my sons, all right, and my cousins, and all my male relatives and friends. If you want to know what it's like to kill somebody, you go take a week and lock yourself in a bathroom and let yourself out for 1 hour a day, because that's what your life is going to be if you take someone else's life. You're going to live in a toilet. You know what I mean? And I mean, you just got people out here I mean, you got women out here assassinating people now.
yeah. One that went viral was one in Brooklyn. Like some lady had parked her car or double parked her car, and she literally walked out and shot this woman on the back of her head. And she
Yeah,
casually walked back to the car and she drove off. But
like nothing happened. Like it was no big deal.
yeah, recently, I'm glad that the police ended up catching the girl because they actually caught her in Jacksonville. So after that Brooklyn assassination, she was on a run for a few months, and finally they caught up to her.
Right. I mean, you got police departments throughout the country right now who are declaring war on gangbangers, like openly.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's something that they look. That's something they did to us. I'll never forget. I was at High Park High School. I think I was a sophomore, and that's when they first started bringing guns around the school. Before that, it might have been knives, or hell, I used to carry a knife with me. But back then, you pretty much fist. It was fist fights.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but somebody brought a gun to school. Somebody shot the gun. Next thing you know, the whole police department, and they pretty much pulled most of the males in there, most of the black males that was in the school, and they told us about how they was the biggest gang in the city of Chicago. And some of those cops, yeah, they were gang bangers. They was banging on gang bangers.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, now, man, it's so bad. I ain't gonna lie to you, man. It's like sometimes when I left Woodlawn with all the vacant lots and everything, and all the hustlers and everyone else, all these things I had to try to avoid in my life to get out of that spot. Um, it was like living in a war zone in some places, and I don't want to be insulted to Woodlawn, but when you go overseas and you see vacant lots and the same type of people, it's all learned behavior, man. Like luckily, a lot of people are able to get out of the hood, you know, able to get out of poverty, but you only can do it if you get your ass up every day and go to work. Sitting at home thinking somebody's going to call you and offer you this damn job, that ain't going to happen. But that's learned behavior too, laziness.
Yeah, it's unfortunate when people make it out of the hood, and for the most part, once they get themselves together, whether they're going to get married, start a family, and work their career and then retire, a lot of those people don't come back into the hood and put resources into the hood. I mean, once they're out of the hood, they're pretty much gone. They're pretty much putting their own resources into other communities.
Right.
And as far as like a series of events that kind of made our communities the way it is today. I mean, black people, we have a unique history in this country. So as far as the way black people were targeted, with mass incarceration, the crack era, the crime bill, um, pretty much kind of like the fact of making the women the heads of the black community when you kind of like cover them down for like certain positions, and you're giving them the microphone when it comes to the media, and you want to get their opinion of what's good for the black community, and no man is in sight to even answer that question. They don't even want the man's opinion about what the black community needs.
I mean, because they don't care. They look. I don't care what nobody says. You know, systematically, we have been trained like dogs. That's how they treated us, like dogs. And
As far as who?
the whole the whole entire slavery system, you know, of us being transported here from Africa,
Oh, okay.
and they dropped off some in the Caribbean. Actually, a lot of them in the Caribbean, and some of them, which they don't really talk about too much, had another further trip to South America. They never talk about that,
Yeah, most of the slaves went to Brazil.
right? But I'm saying no one really talks about that. So they sent more slaves to Brazil and to South America than they did to the United States or to the Caribbean. Well, the Caribbean was just a layover. That was a layover. And you know what? It's no different than if you being drafted in the military, you get it examined. You get examined by physicians. You get examined by your disciplinarians. And the ones who will fought back too much, they'll just kill them. Oh yeah, he's not going to cooperate. Now, let's just go ahead and hang him right now.
Mm-hmm.
That's learned behavior.
Now, in regards to learned behavior, now I understand where you're coming from when it comes to that, but should there be like a certain age in which everyone knows right from wrong, no matter what influences is like around you? I mean, there's like many people in a community that's like living like amongst gangs and violence and gunshots. It's only a small percentage of people in the hood that is really doing that deviant behavior. But for the most part, I would say 90% of people are actually law-abiding citizens. But it's a small 10% just
Mm,
causing havoc.
you know what? I like that analogy because 10% is about the norm for about anything that you
Yeah.
deal with when it comes to statistics.
At the same time, though, at the same time, that 10% of people that's doing deviant behavior, we all know these people. Mothers know that their sons ain't shit. Mothers know that their daughters ain't doing shit, but like holding their apartments for like stash houses or housing their in and out of jail boyfriend, in which he's doing this illegal activity out of her house. I mean,
Hey,
we have our mothers and sisters, cousins. I mean, we all know these people. There are
and you know what? It's so funny.
like 1 or 2 degrees
Hey,
separation from everybody in the community. So we all know these people, right?
you know what? I want to tell you a quick story if I can.
Yeah, go ahead.
So in my neighborhood in Woodlawn, um, we really used to hang out more on the street called Kimbark, which is right next, next street over. And that's where all the basketball court was going on. It was a lot of man, it was everything going on over there. Gambling, pitching pennies, shooting dice, playing cards, guys playing basketball. I mean your typical, inner city neighborhood. And one thing I've been blessed with is being able to study people because you can look at certain people and know which ones you can mess with and which ones you don't mess with. So I was blessed in that instinct. And actually, that instinct was taught to me by my mother. But
Mm-hmm.
we had certain guys in the neighborhood. We called them the wolf. You don't mess with the wolf. You
Hey,
know,
when
and
you say the
there's
wolf,
I'm,
I
I'm
think of
telling
Pulp
you, all
Fiction.
right. So,
I think of Pulp Fiction when you mentioned the wolf.
exact. Look. You know what? It's so funny. I love Pulp Fiction. It's one of my favorite movies of all time.
Yeah.
Um, and so that wolf was smooth, but he was the wolf to cover something up. The wolves I'm talking about is the one that was out there, and these are men, okay,
Mm-hmm.
that are out to rape you. And I'm talking about them pedophiles in the hood. That's what I used to call the wolf.
Mm-hmm.
And there was quite a few wolves in the neighborhood, but there was also uh, females, that were out there praying too. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
people don't understand when you have a pedophile, or you have a rapist, or you have a man or a woman. That's learned behavior a lot of times.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone talks about R. Kelly, and I know why they love him, because they know that he was molested by a female family member of his. So a lot of it, and I'm not making no excuse for what he's done, but that was learned behavior.
Yeah. Hurt people hurt people.
I mean,
Yeah.
John Wayne Gacy, who not only raped little boys, but also buried them in the backyard. He was molested. Learned behavior.
Jeffrey Dahmer. Yeah.
Look, I used to live blocks away from this man. When I left Chicago and moved to Milwaukee for my last year and a half before I joined the Navy, Jeffrey Dahmer used to live like less than 10 blocks away from my house. He probably was walking down the street. I probably could have walked past him anytime.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's funny that you just mentioned him because I was looking him up the other day because of some research I'm doing about pedophiles and murderers because they out here. They still out here. I mean, when you have men out here preying on other men, we have to teach our young men to be careful about who you trust as far as other men because you don't know what happened to these other men out here. If they've been molested, sometimes they want payback, and they don't pay back the person who they actually were harmed by. They want to pay back someone else, and a lot of people don't understand these things. But once someone's played with your mind, and not just in that form, but any form, yeah, you can do things that you don't want to do because you've been trained by learned behavior.
It's going to take stand-up men to kind of correct this behavior for the next generation. As much as I have a disdain for the Me Too movement, as far as when it first came out, its original purpose, I understood it, I support it, but it was kind of co-opted by opportunists who want to retroactively, want to bring up stuff that happened, years ago to try to like get some type of, justice today. Like to me, there really wasn't the purpose of Me Too. But yeah, it was just people was just trying to take advantage of the opportunity to like possibly get a payday. They want to even like accuse deceased people. I mean, just recently, a couple of days ago, I read that Don Cornelius was accused of some sexual deviances. So I mean, unfortunately for like him and Rick James, Will Chamberlain, these people have been deceased for years, and these accusations are coming out today. That's
Well,
unfortunate.
but you know what? We're talking about people who lived in the age where they were looked at as gods, and people overlooked. They overlooked. They overlooked their their abuses or their neglect, or
I understand that, but these men are deceased and they don't have an opportunity to defend their name. I mean, people are just throwing this stuff out there just to kind of see if it's going to stick. If they can get some type of retribution from these people's estates. It's all about a transfer of resources.
Right. I mean, look, I believe the reason why they put Bill Cosby in jail was just so after they got out, all those women, once he dies, they can try to tap into his into his estate. Unfortunately, you have people who throw their hooks and chains in the people just so they can profit from them, and that's really kind of messed up because um I'll put it this way. How many people have you taken care of?
As far as financially or what?
As far as being your dependent.
I have 3 dependents.
Okay, so you got 3 dependents.
Mm-hmm.
I've had 17 in my life. And I'm still standing. You talk about learned behavior. See, I got that from my grandparents. They took care of children, and they took care of children that weren't even their own. I'm not saying that they lived in a house, but grandmama used to feed other people's kids if they ain't have nothing to eat. A lot of people aren't willing to do that. I was willing to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need no pat on the back or super, no S on my chest, but I've had 17 dependents in my life, and that's one of the hardest things that a man can do is take care of 17 other people, and a lot of times at the same time.
Yeah, where you get all the energy?
I'm a bull. I'm a bull.
Yeah.
But yeah, I want people to understand that before you judge people, learn behaviors. Sometimes it's not your fault. Sometimes it's just something that you experienced in your life, and it's like with the dead. With me, the dead don't bother me. I've been a lot of places in my life where I've been in charge of people's body to get it home to to the family. I've done that in many countries. Unfortunately, I had to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But I had no problem doing that because that's what you're supposed to do. People who are afraid of the dead, is because a lot of times they got a reason to not want to die. And that's just my opinion. I think that people are afraid to die are afraid of they're ashamed of their sins, and they can't live with their sins because we all going to die. I can't remember that. It was like, if there's hell below, we all going to go.
Yeah.
I mean,
like in my case, obviously I don't want to die prematurely. I just want to be in a place in which I have all of my affairs in order, and I know for sure that once I leave this earth, that my daughters are at least going to be fine.
Right.
And being that they're still so little, I still want to see so many of their milestones. So, and plus, I'm due to retire in roughly 10 years. So after that, that's when I'm gonna really start living life.
Man, I'll tell you what, man. Retirement, it is the only thing that was worth doing everything that I've done in my life. And I've done a lot. But it goes back to
Do you still not wear a watch?
Huh?
Do you still not wear a watch? Because you said since you retired, you intentionally not want to see a clock. Because you got no concept of time no more.
Nope. Nope, I ain't got no watches on.
Yeah. Well, because I hope I get to that point, before I know it. I mean, it seems like if you're actively raising kids, especially when they're so little, like my whole concept of time, I mean, time just flies. So,
right.
I could imagine 10 years just flying just like that. And next thing you know, I'm pretty much retired and I just got to figure out, okay, what do I do on a daily basis just to kind of keep my mind stimulated? Because I'm pretty sure I'll still be like involved in whatever that they have going on, like, sports or, some type of academic activities, but whatever it is, at least I'll be available for the time. What's that?
I said dance recitals, whatever.
Oh yeah, anything, anything that they have an interest in. So I'll be a full-time dad and doing that, being their chauffeur, and yeah, man, I'm looking forward to all that. So yeah.
Yeah, man, that's great to have that, like I said, there's a blueprint to having a successful and beautiful life. And people like me, where I was just too immature and too ready to go out and do everything all at once. And I got overwhelmed. But to me,
Hey, once you're done with that, I have a question for you.
yeah, go ahead. But I was gonna say, when you take your time and you get to know somebody, and you want this to be your your mate, or for your life, it's a beautiful thing to do it when you're older, mature, and after you've had life experiences, and you don't have any regrets, or there's other things you want to do that your spouse don't want you to do anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, maturity, that's something that takes time. And for me, for sometimes I wasn't willing to wait, which was probably my biggest flaw. But go ahead.
You mentioned about as far as having like the keys to like a beautiful life or whatever. If you was to boil it down to like 3 to 5 different bullet points or what it would take to have a successful life, at least let's have like a mark of like 30 to 35 as far as what a man should be at. What's your like 3 to 5 bullet points what a man needs to do in order to kind of like be on track, that once he turns 30 or 35, that he's really kind of hitting his financial stride, and he's pretty much kind of like ready to kind of like take in a family and raise a family. So like what's like some of the
So
factors that like you would say for like someone to be successful?
all right. So the first one is you listen to the most successful person that you know and the most unsuccessful person you know,
Mm-hmm.
and see if they'll tell you about their lives. That's number
Okay.
one.
Mm-hmm.
If
Yeah.
you talk to a loser and a winner, you're gonna take the winner side before the losers.
At least you got something to compare it to. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Um, my second point would be um, don't let wonderful things distract you, because they're not as wonderful as you think they are.
As far as you're saying wonderful, the number one would be what, women?
As far as men,
Yeah, as far as a man, right, right.
yeah, as far as a man that wants to ride down the river Nile,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
yeah, they got crocodiles in that river.
Crabs too.
Yeah, they got a lot of stuff in the river Nile.
Yeah.
Trust me, no, Moses people found out. Or actually, Pharaoh's people found out too. They all found out.
All right.
Yeah, going down the river now.
Okay.
But um, investigate what people tell you. Look
I
it
like
up.
that. I like that. Yeah. As far as the pursuit of researching, never stop learning.
Never stop learning.
Yeah, I
And
like that.
but you have to listen to successful people and also know that they speak in code. People
Mm-hmm.
don't understand that about wealthy, rich people that are very influential. They telling you something, but they talking in code. and they want to see if you got the key to unlock that code. Once you can do that, then you'll be as successful as they are, because they telling you. May I use an example of that?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to start a campaign called "Where is Byron Allen?" Where are you, bro? I want my shot into getting into the movie industry, the media industry, whatever it is, because he's buying it up. And he went on the Breakfast Club and told these people, I have resources. I know people who want to give you money. The only thing is, most people don't understand what he was saying. Find me and come talk to me. So Byron Allen, Mr. Bullhead here wants to work with you. People don't understand this. These are codes, you know, but these are also learned behaviors. People are afraid to do what a lot of people are afraid to do the things that they can do because they don't believe in themselves. See, that's one thing I've never had a problem with. Everything that I really wanted to do, for the most part, I achieved it.
Mm-hmm.
And I did it with 17 dependents throughout my life. And I still achieved the things that I wanted to achieve. You know, when people told me I couldn't be a lifeguard, I became a lifeguard. When people told me I would amount to nothing, I joined the Navy and I disproved everyone.
How many total years did you serve?
29 years, 8 months, and 4 days.
You couldn't hit 30? Were you aiming for 30?
No. um, by that time, it was kind of, I don't know if you know about the movie The Right Stuff. You remember that movie?
No.
Okay, so in the movie, they show a part where uh, it's an Air Force. He became a general, but he was flying all the way up to this altitude, and he just couldn't go any further. And he was trying to break the space barrier in a jet. I can't remember the general's name, but he's very famous. But anyway, he just couldn't go any further, and that's where I was with my career. I mean, I literally was so stressed out and so sick that I thought I was going to die. And I got out. I retired. I mean, I had plenty of time to retire. I could have retired at 20.
Hmm.
But yeah, you know, my father's stubborn, my mother was stubborn. I'm stubborn. You know, both of my parents, well, I can only speak, my parents came from the mud. They came from nothing.
Yeah.
But yet, you know, here we are standing with you know, thank God, more than what they had. They did their job. They're happy for us to be where we are. Just like I want to be happy when my children do better than I do.
Right.
That's the only way I can measure my success as a man, is if my children do better than I do.
Yeah. 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 Same here. Likewise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
but that's learned behavior too.
Yeah. So cool, man. Did you finish your bullet points?
For the most part, yeah.
Oh, okay. I mean, I like those. I mean, I was kind of curious. So, I mean, just to kind of see if I'm even following that that type of trajectory. So, I mean, so far, I mean, I think I'm doing okay. But yeah, I'm just kind of curious. I mean, if I was
Well,
to name some bullet points myself, though, like the number one thing is don't have kids prematurely. As long as you don't have kids prematurely, then you pretty much kind of like you can stay on your grind as long as possible. Once you graduate high school, you literally got three different roads you could kind of take in order to kind of like set up your life. One could be trade school, two is college, and three is military. Now, if you can't go to college because you can't afford it, I mean, I'm not gonna fault you for that, but because like a lot of these students are getting into heavy college debt and they're kind of like strapped or tied down to all that debt once they graduate, and they just live in this perpetual rat race trying to pay off college tuition, and people like that can't really take risks like that as far as possibly starting a small business or even buy a house. So if they can't afford college, then like the military would definitely be a good option that can pay for your college education, assuming you could get through 4 years of a military service, and then you could pretty much earn your ability to have the government pay for your college, and you can also get the Montgomery GI Bill.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
yeah, but yeah, I would just say at least once you graduate high school, like those 4 to 6 years after you graduate is going to be like a pivotal period in which how your life is going to be set up. And try not to have kids within that time period, so that way you can have the ability as a man to like work multiple jobs, stack your money, do a trade, go into the military, excel in that as much as possible, so that way you can have so many opportunities once you discharge. Or if you can even turn the military to a career, that's also a good option. But yeah, I mean, like to me, it's not really too hard. But but yeah, as far as like you said, learn behaviors. Yes, it's like a lot of things that's going to kind of like get people off track. But I'm kind of on the fence about that. Once you reach a certain age, you know right from wrong. You know who are the good people. You know who are the bad people. Try to get you a positive mentor, so that way they can kind of steer you in the right direction, and kind of just stay away from like the from all the necessary buffoonery. Try not to um, go out to let me see, um, try not to hang out in like gang infested areas, because you could kind of be kind of mixed in with that type of bad crowd,
Right.
and obviously,
Hey, hey, like I was saying,
yeah,
if you want to meet the wolf, go hang out on your local street corner.
right,
You'll meet the wolf, and the wolf will have look, and the wolf will eat you like you a sheep
right,
because that's what they do.
and also during your pursuit of trying to elevate your life, try to do self improvement on your health as well. Try to stay in the gym, get your gym membership, work out, eat good foods, and so that way, you just won't be kind of like bogged down with like bad health that you get, later in life, because it's an epidemic in obesity, especially in the black community, because of our bad eating habits. We can't eat Big Mama's soul food, every single week or every other day, and all that fried foods and fast food. I know it's enticing, and with Grubhub and DoorDash, I mean, all that stuff is very enticing to just order some food from your smartphone, and it's going to be delivered to your front door. But I mean, try to get into the habit of cooking your own foods, and get some recipes. Work out.
Yeah,
Um,
eat plenty of salads.
yeah, I mean, it's very simple. I mean, it's easier said than done, but yeah, it's so many temptations out there with the whole targeting and the marketing. You know, um, with these different corporations trying to get you to batter bad foods. But yeah. Anyway, man, I went on a little mini rant, but yeah, man. I mean, to me, it's simple, but it takes hard work to stay disciplined and dedicated to what you're trying to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
But
I
I just want to lastly say, just because you learn something from your experiences doesn't mean that you always have to use them um, all the time. But people need to be more mindful when they're dealing with other people that some of the things they do, you're just not going to understand why they do it. And that's okay. as long as you're able to talk to people and understand it a little bit. It's all about communication. Like a lot of people these days don't even talk to each other. They just like, you get on my nerves. Well, sometimes if you just tell someone why you're getting on their nerves, maybe they'll stop doing it. But instead of people trying to communicate in a positive way like that, they fight. And that's the reason why you got so many people now that, they're single with no kids. I mean, it's a ton of people out here that just hate each other. And it's because they don't communicate and they didn't really get to know each other and know their own or share their learned behaviors with each other. I think that's very important.
Gotcha. All right, man. Hey, it's been a good one, man. Appreciate you, doing this recording tonight. It's Rob and Chi Bullhead, Cornerstone Podcast. So, I guess we'll get it back at this sometime next week. We'll figure out another topic to tackle.
All right, man.
Go with that.
Later on.
All right, man. Have a good one, man. Peace. I'll see you later.
All right, peace.
All right.